Hey everyone, it's another episode of the Just My Take podcast. This is Dexter K, aka DexBC5. Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful episode. I believe this is episode 20. This has been an incredible journey. I never thought when I made the first episode that I would be 20 episodes in, and I appreciate the support, the love, and the feedback. I think it's always cool when I'm at like a party or whatnot, and someone asks us about the podcast or says, "Hey, man, I check out your podcast. It's pretty good." It's real cool. What I want to do is I want to continue to grow the podcast, especially as a solo show. I know it's a lot harder for viewers to listen to a solo show. I get that. I myself, I'm a podcast listener. Listen to a lot of podcasts that have some multiple co-hosts on it, but I also listen to some really good podcasts that's just one person. And for now, I kind of like the format of doing solo because I feel I can kind of have that flexibility to do the show anytime I want. And not only that, I think it's easy for me to get a lot of thoughts out there. But we will try. I am trying to get some guest hosts later in the future. I am working on that right now. I am working on that. So some new things about the Just My Take podcast. Some house cleaning things I just want to get out the way. So I decided I'm going to be dropping the episodes Thursday morning at 8 o'clock at 7 a.m. so you guys can listen to it on your commute to work. And you can listen to it in the morning during work. It's going to be on Thursdays, every Thursday. I'm going to stick to that schedule as best as possible. Instead of kind of dropping it on multiple days, random days, I think, I got to start doing one episode, stick to a schedule so people can look forward to every Thursday. It'll be right before the weekend. I'm covering a lot of news, entertainment, wrestling, sports. It's going to be almost right before the weekend. And I think, in the middle of the week is a good time frame because you get a lot of stuff on the weekend. There's some stuff that happens during the week, and then you get a lot of news that are coming for the upcoming weekend. Fall is coming up pretty soon. Labor Day weekend is this weekend. It's kind of like the last hurrah for summer, so I hope you guys have some great summer plans. But with the fall is a heavy sports season. So I kind of want to get some news out the way. Okay, I want to get some news out the way. And this episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do the format is going to be a little different, but I hope you guys like it. So anyway, I want to give condolences, prayers, shout out to the families of Aretha Franklin and John McCain. Aretha Franklin, she passed away at the age of 76. And it's very sad. The Queen of Soul has been in the industry for a long time. Amazing artist. I think she will be remembered forever. And I know that she was she was struggling towards her final days, but now she's in a better place. She's in a better place after dealing with advanced pancreatic cancer. So I know she's in a better place right now. So condolences to Aretha Franklin. And then condolences and prayers to John McCain. He recently passed away due to brain cancer at the age of 81. I believe the age of 81. And John McCain, I will say this. Obviously, I don't agree so much with his politics, but I thought the guy was a great war hero. To deal with what he had to deal with as a prisoner of war, that's tough. I don't know if I would have been able to do it. And, I was listening to a recent story about John McCain, about how he was held by his captors and how he actually had a chance for early release because his father was in the military, a high-ranking officer in the military. So he was able to get his son out, and McCain refused. He was like, "No, I'm staying with the rest of my crew, my platoon." And he kept staying, and he did that for 5 long years until an early release from the Vietnam War. And it's sad because even though I didn't like McCain, I always thought that he was a good moderate Republican. He tried to reach in the middle of the aisle, across the aisle to try to get things done. I feel that's where politics needs to get back to, regardless of your political affiliations. I know I have conservative listeners, and that's fine. I respect it as long as you respect, my views, or at least my right to have liberal views. I have nothing wrong with that. I think what gets people angry is when we start to do all this, hokey, crazy shit. Just for example, the Florida governor race that's going to happen. You have I think his name is Ron DeSantis, the Republican candidate, and Andrew Gillum, the Democratic candidate. Gillum is a black guy running for governor, first time in that state, and Ron DeSantis is a Trump supporter. And just today on the news, he said an insult saying, hopefully we don't monkey up this election, which is a direct shot to Gillum and a very offensive thing to say to a black person, about a black person, because comparing a black person to an animal is wrong. It's very offensive, very fucking offensive. And so when politics starts to get to that point, that's when I have a problem with it, because then it's not may the best person win. Is you want to do ugly behind, below the belt bullshit like that. And that's where, with McCain, as much as, he may differ in my views, at least he didn't try to go below the belt. And it's interesting because I remember one time, I know a lot of conservatives, a lot of people point to this moment as maybe the time McCain actually lost the election was when you had this lady at a not a conference. It was like a political rally event. And the lady was talking shit about Obama, saying that she heard that he was a Muslim and all this stuff. And McCain stopped her in her tracks and was like, nah, he's a nice man. We just disagree on politics. That's it. And I truly like McCain for that. I know some conservatives thought that, he was too nice, but I thought that if he was going to run the race, it was going to be a fair fight and not the below the belt shit that's happening right now. Sometimes I wonder about that moment, because I wonder if that's when the whole really Trump crazyism started. I always knew that there were people like that, but I don't know if that was the beginning of Trump tapping into those crazies base and just doing the crazy stuff like the birth candidate, the birth certificate for Obama, and all types of wild stuff. I mean, politics is tough, but we don't need to get into that. Anyway, John McCain. So I really enjoy John McCain, great war hero, senator in the U.S. Senate for a long time. He's going to have three funerals: one in the Arizona State Capitol, one in Washington D.C., and then I believe one in Arlington. So rest in peace. I don't think. So the feud that's going on right now between McCain and Trump, McCain and his will, while he reached out to President Obama and President Bush, he did not reach out to President Trump. And if I'm McCain, I would not either, because the fact that I am a prisoner of war that's still suffering stuff to this day because of the torture I dealt with is insulted by a president who dodged the draft. And to say that, I should not have been caught. I mean, it's the biggest insult. I know I'm not a veteran and all. I know I'm not a veteran or military person, but it's the biggest insult that you can say to someone. To me, it's just I don't get it. So I don't blame McCain for being like screw Trump, and going with Obama and Bush, because even though they may disagree on politics, they were still reasonable men. And I think President Trump, with the flag thing, that was hokey and petty. Yeah, people may say it's protocol that, he didn't have to keep the White House flag at a half staff longer than a day. I think it's petty. Trump knows that McCain is a very well-recognized, popular Senate congressman. As much as you might have had hate for him, and even though he may not have invited you to speak at the funeral, just leave the thing at half-mast. Let it be. He's a war hero. Let it be until John McCain is put to rest. And then, you do your thing. Sometimes you just have to be the bigger person. So, I thought I was ashamed that President Trump, continues to be petty like that. Just let the guy pass away in peace. Say your piece about him, your condolences, and then you keep him moving until the guy, gets buried, and then you move on. You move on with your presidency. So anyway, condolences to Senator John McCain. Next thing we gotta get into, I just want to do a quick shout out to Vic Mensa, the rapper. He is doing an anti-bait truck in Chicago. So what he did is he gave away 10,000 shoes in the city of Chicago to people in Southside Chicago, because right now there are actually cops out there filling trucks full of shoes and baiting youth to come, and I don't know if it's to come and steal the shoes maybe and then arrest them. So Vic Mensa is countering that and saying, nah, this is wrong. This is messed up. It's a trap. So he's donating a bunch of shoes to kids in the neighborhood. I think that's a really good thing. Shout out to him for doing that. What else is on the docket? What else can we get into? Yes, Mr. Kanye West. So Kanye, a few episodes on my Kanye West, about Kanye West, I talked about Kanye West and his background, and I also talked about Kanye West and kind of the way he talked about slavery a few episodes ago. So if you had a chance, check out past episodes on Kanye West. I think you'll enjoy them, as I hope you enjoyed this episode. So Kanye a few weeks ago talked about how slavery was a choice. I thought it was one of the dumbest fucking things he said, and I think that turned a lot of people against him, and with due cause. So he recently came out and he said that he apologizes for the slavery comments he made back in May, and he said that he should have never said that, And Kanye, I don't know what's up with him. I know he's a Trump supporter and he's entitled to feel that way. But I'm glad that he finally came to the realization that that slavery comment was not cool. Okay, here's a quote. Here's a quote what he says. He said, "I want to take this moment right now to say I'm sorry for the 1-2 effect of the manager hat into the slave comment. I'm sorry to people who felt let down by that moment. And I also appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to talk about the way I was thinking while I was going through. I learned how much Black people love me." I don't know if Black people love you as much anymore, Kanye. I think we used to rock with you. I remember when you did the college dropout, I was a huge, huge fan of yours. I kind of wish you would get back to those days because, some of the latest shit you got out right now is not the best. I gotta admit. Is not the best, and I think you just out of touch with the community, out of touch with the people who have rocked with you for forever, for days and days. So I think Kanye, I don't know what's going on with you. It's okay, you're a Trump supporter, but I don't know if I can rock with you like that. If you're gonna be saying asinine things like slavery is a choice, I think a lot of people are throwing out the word slave and slavery and all that stuff. Let's be clear. As we get older, as a society, as a country, we cannot forget about the gruesome natures of slavery. A lot of bad shit went down. I would suggest people just educate themselves on the topic, and find out the real facts. Don't read just from the history books that's in school. Find out other facts, expand your knowledge, because it was an ugly, ugly time in America. And as you can see in today's age, we're still trying to move past it. We're still trying to grow from it. So I'm going to leave it at that with the Kanye stuff. I don't know what's going on with him. I hope he gets his head right. So that's it for the I believe that's it for the entertainment news that I got going on right now. So anyway, let's get away from this political entertainment for a moment. Let's get into the sports, man. So Labor Day weekend is known as a big, big weekend for sports, especially the college football fans. College football is back and it's live. And I love college football. The pageantry, the rivalries. It's something that you just cherish. All right. I just love the fall games. I hope to go to some tailgates. I'm not gonna go to any UConn football games because the program's not good, but I would love to go to a few games in the South. Anyway, so with college football, you got some big games, and pretty much my predictions for the playoff is I think it's gonna be pretty simple. I got. Let me see. Let me pull up the rankings real quick. Just bear with me real quick, people. Just bear with me. My playoff, you got to have Alabama in there somewhere. You got to have Alabama in there somewhere. They are just a powerhouse. And with the way Nick Saban runs that squad, I don't see how things will be different. So I got Alabama in there. I got Clemson as another team in the playoff. They seem to be kind of rocking versus Alabama. And I got to give credit to Dabo Swinney. The fact that he took that Clemson program to be almost a potential rival to Alabama at this point. What an amazing job that Dabo Swinney's doing in the college football landscape. Georgia right now, they can have a say in the SEC. They can have a say in the SEC. You know, I'll be interested to see what happens with that program. Ohio State, will they have some issues with the Urban Meyer scandal? I don't know. I think it's a big year for Ohio State. You know who's a big year for? Michigan. Jim Harbaugh has been there for a couple years. He finally has his class in. Michigan's paying this guy a lot of fucking money. This guy needs to perform. He needs to perform. This program, Michigan, I think they should win the Big Ten. I think they should be in the playoffs. And if they don't even come close to that, if I'm a Michigan fan, I start to wonder if Jim Harbaugh is the right move here. And then Oklahoma Sooners, they were in the playoff last year. You know, I think they can make it this year. So I think it's going to be Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, and Oklahoma in the playoff. That's going to be my prediction. That's going to be my prediction for the playoff. But if you look, I'm just going to do a quick review of the conferences. SEC, I think it's going to be between Bama and Georgia. Bama, Georgia, Auburn. I think that's how it's going to go down. Big Ten, I think it's going to be between Ohio State, Michigan. Penn State and Wisconsin will make some noise in that conference, but I think Ohio State and Michigan, they're gonna lay claim to that conference. ACC, I think it's Clemson, but Florida State will be a tough test. I think Florida State will be a tough test for them. Miami will be there as well. And then, you know, Pac-10, I think it's a wild. It could be anyone's game. I think the Trojans get back to prominence. Honestly, I think the Trojans get back to prominence, but watch out for the Stanford Cardinals, man. Stanford Cardinals, they got Bryce Love, a Heisman candidate, coming back. They could possibly make some noise. And, you know, Arizona with Kevin Sumlin, I mean, I think he got a raw deal at Texas A&M, and I think Arizona's a better fit for him overall. And then the Washington Huskies, they get overlooked all the goddamn time. But you know what? Chris Pearson, you know, the famous coach from Boise State, he's doing some big things over there. And then, you know, Big 12, I got Oklahoma kind of running away with that conference. And that's the Power 5. So college football, glad for it to be back. The NFL will be back, I believe, next week on the 6th is the first game. So we're going to be in the midst of football season, college football, NFL, high school football. We're going to be in the midst of all that stuff. And I think it's going to be entertaining. I think it's going to be really fun. Okay? And I want to get into the NFL a little bit. I want to get into the NFL because I'm really happy for the news. I mean, as you guys know, I am a big, big fan of players getting money. I'm a big fan. Some people ask me, why are you so enamored with the players getting money? Because I think the way the game is, people don't really understand how much money other people make off the players. And if it isn't for those players, the owners, the agents, the advertising agencies, the sponsors, they don't make as much money. So guys like Aaron Rodgers, LeBron James, Cristiano Ronaldo, they deserve every penny that's offered. And the problem is that as average Joe Schmoes, we only see the contracts of the players. They do that on purpose. We only see the contracts of the players, and we get jealous of them, and we should. I'm not going to say that someone getting $100 million, you'd be like, damn, I wish I got $100 million. But if you were to see how much the owners make, these guys are making the billions, but we don't know that. So we get mad at the players for the holdouts and all that stuff, but we don't get mad at the owners. Let me tell you something. For me, whenever I hear a person get mad at the players for holding out, my question is, so are you really concerned about a billionaire getting more richer? Is that essentially what you want? I think personally, the NFL should move to a soft cap. In my opinion, they should start to move to a soft cap, just like the NBA. Because now you're seeing more players get guaranteed money, and they should, because it's a dangerous game. They don't know how long they're going to play the game with the possibilities of injuries and all that stuff. So I don't blame players for holding out and getting the money. The NFL, I think, should move to a soft cap. They make enough money. And if, Jerry Jones has a really great team and he wants to pay the luxury tax to keep that team together and pay the money, whatever, that's how it should be. I don't think it should be an issue. And I don't think fans should be so up in arms that a guy like Khalil Mack and Aaron Darnold want more money. These franchises make so much more. So these franchises make 5 to 10 times more than what they're paying the athlete. So let's relax. Well, oh my God, the athletes, they're ruining the team and all that stuff. First of all, we're talking about star players. We all know for a fact, we saw last year as a Packers fan, when Aaron Rodgers is not playing, the Packers are not fucking good. Let's keep it 100. So I'm not worried if Aaron Rodgers has to hold out to get his money, because I know when he comes back, he's going to make the Packers a contender. Odell Beckham Jr., I know some Giants fans are iffy about him. This guy is a star. You want him on your team. I don't care what you say. You want a guy like him on your team. Yes, he's a diva. He acts up sometimes. But when he's committed, when he's doing his thing, you want a guy like him on your team. So anyway, congratulations, Odell Beckham Jr. Got a 5-year, $90 million contract, I believe. Let me just make sure. $95 million contract. With most of it guaranteed. At least $65 of it guaranteed. That's awesome for him. And then, my man Aaron Rodgers, I believe the best quarterback in the game today. I know there's some Brady fans out there, but even Brady fans, Patriots fans have to admit, Aaron Rodgers can go with Tom Brady. I would love to see that Super Bowl between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady this year before they kind of, go on to the older phases of the career. I would love to see that happen. So Aaron Rodgers got a 4-year, $134 million contract, at least $100 million guaranteed. I mean, as a Packers fan, I'll be honest. Yes, is it going to mess up the salary cap a little bit? Yeah, it will. Green Bay won't be able to sign players. But to be honest, Green Bay hasn't really signed players for defense anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. At least I know that, I have Aaron Rodgers locked down. And for people who are saying, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers is past his prime, he's not past his prime. And he's made Green Bay and the NFL a lot of money. Look, I think a lot of the ratings were down not only because of the anthem protest, but a lot of key players were injured last year. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, this affected the game. Carson Wentz, this affected the game because you couldn't see these star players play live. And I think the NFL is going to benefit from these players coming back. So I'm happy that Aaron Rodgers is getting his money. He's happy. He's going to make my Packers a winners. I think I look for a big year with Green Bay. So shout out to them on that note. And then what else I want to get into the docket? Soccer. Soccer season is in full effect. For those, I think if you are not a soccer fan, I think you should check it out. Give it a shot. English, especially the English league, there's a lot of drama within the English soccer league, between the coaches, between the players, the way they talk shit about each other. I feel Americans will love it. I think with the MLS, I don't know. I think the MLS has tried to kind of be too soft in their approach. When they have the salary cap and all that, it's very hard to kind of pay attention to the MLS when they have a salary cap, but yet in Europe, you have the England and Spain and Germany, France, and Italy, the top 5 leagues. They're able to spend as much money as they possibly could, and they get the stars. I think if American owners were able to open the checkbooks a little bit, you can get maybe some of these younger, notable stars to play in the MLS, and that will get more people out to the games. Now, it's a growing sport in the country. I'm not worried about the owners' checkbooks because they're doing fine, okay? And crowds are coming out. Crowds are definitely coming out. But I think to get the casuals' interest a little bit with the MLS, the domestic league, they could open the floodgates a little bit more. I'm gonna watch some of the MLS playoffs. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good look to do it in October and November in the midst of especially football season. Baseball season is winding down. NBA has started. October is a very sports dominant enough in the American landscape. So to really have the MLS playoffs during that time, I'm not really sure about that. I think they should maybe go more like the Russian league, or the Mexican league, where you have the playoffs more in the summer. So maybe kind of start the leagues now, or start the leagues maybe, I don't know, maybe start it in August, and then you have the playoffs done in May and June when all the other sports have wind down for the most part. It's just NBA, NHL. I think you would get more coverage from the media that way. So I think that's my suggestion for the MLS to open the floodgates and get more stars in here. Anyway, English Premier League, Chelsea's doing all right. Manchester City has 7 points. Liverpool has 3 wins. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the league. But I want to talk about promoting the game in the U.S. You're seeing a lot of other leagues starting to catch up to the English Premier League in terms of marketability and TV contracts. For those who don't know, the English Premier League has a contract with NBC Sports, where every Saturday and Sunday they show at least 2 to 3 games in the morning, and then they do a recap show. The coverage is the best around. I have not seen soccer coverage from any other network that has top NBCs. It is premier coverage, and that's why the English Premier League is seen all over the world, and especially in America, is a popular league. I'm watching more and more games because the coverage they just do it so well. So anyway, what you got is you have other leagues now catching on. They see that the English Premier League, you have your Manchester United, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, the big clubs. They're making money and they're buying top players. But now you're starting to see some of the middle tier and lower tier teams buying players for some of the top other stars from other leagues. When you got Crystal Palace is getting stars from the German league, from the Spanish league, middle tier teams. And so now you're starting to see these top teams in Spain and Germany and Italy and France be like, yo, you know what? Unless we have a sugar daddy owner like PSG has with their ownership, we're gonna fall behind, because in soccer in Europe, money dictates it. If you have the money, you have the advantage of buying more stars. I would say for soccer fans, it's almost like baseball. The 90s Yankees, back in the day, even though they had, the core 4, they were able to go outside and spend the money to get all-stars, and they just had more money than everyone else. And that's how it is in a lot of the other soccer leagues. That's why you tend to see the same winners each time in each of the leagues. So the latest drama right now is you have La Liga, the Spanish league. They're trying to catch up to the English Premier League because they see that the league is kind of going on a downhill. Cristiano Ronaldo has left. Has left Real Madrid. That's going to lose some sales. Lionel Messi is on the back nine of his career at Barcelona, and he may leave Barcelona. You never know. So what's the appeal of the Spanish league? And they realize the domestic market in Europe is saturated. They need to expand in Asia and Africa, South America, especially in the U.S. U.S. is a big market for them. So what they're doing is they're trying to get at least a home game, one game a year in the U.S. market. The problem is Spanish fans are not having that because it's not taken away from Barcelona or Real Madrid's home games, which I think they probably could afford to lose a game. It'll be from the smaller teams that depend on that Barcelona-Real Madrid matchup to make money. So if you are a team like, say, Atletico Bilbao, and you're going to face Real Madrid, and now that game's in the U.S., that takes away from ticket sales in Spain. That your fan base can go to see Real Madrid because they're a special attraction. And yes, you would have you probably would have fans from the U.S. go and show up in numbers. But I don't know. I think they got to come to a compromise on that because you do need to grow the game. I think that La Liga, they got to get away from BIN Sports. They got to get away from that TV contract. For the life of me, I do not know why they do not have a contract with Telemundo. They do not have a contract with NBC Sports, ESPN, something so that casual fans can be able to watch the game because more people are watching the MLS, but they're also watching more Europe games too. I think soccer is starting to get a lot of appeal right now. It's starting to grow, and we want to see the top stars, especially after a World Cup season. Soccer viewership tends to go up because people want to see these same stars like Mbappe, Neymar, Romar, Messi, Harry Kane in their club seasons. So I think La Liga, they need to get out of some of these shitty TV contracts. And they need to kind of move aboard to the American contract. The English Premier League got NBC Sports. Italian Serie A, the Italian league, they're now with ESPN. Even though ESPN is being a bunch of assholes doing the ESPN Plus thing, $5 a month, I think that's bullshit. But at least they'll have one game free during Sunday afternoons. Of an Italian team, of an Italian matchup. The German league, of all leagues, has Fox Sports as their coverage, as their partner. The French league and La Liga still with BIN Sports. And BIN Sports, the problem with that is that you have to pay extra money just to get that coverage. And for a lot of people who are trying to cut cable, they're not going to spend even more money for soccer. You have to make it available. I think NBC, the way they have their package was showing 3 games from the league. And then if you want to see extra, you can then go on and buy it. I think that's a better package to do. Champions League, I think this year is going to be on TNT and TBS. So TNT and TBS, they're known for maybe the basketball coverage and baseball. They're now getting into it. So I think La Liga, they need to work more on their TV contract instead of being obsessed with playing a game in the U.S. I mean, I don't know. And to be honest, I don't know why they don't try to market a game in Mexico or Latin America, considering that a lot of their stars come from Mexico and Latin America. It'd be like a homecoming to those guys. I think they would make massive numbers over there, not just the U.S. So I think the La Liga, they need to figure this shit out because the captains recently of all those teams, they said, "Hey, we're not going to do this. We're not going to come out and we're not going to play these games overseas in the middle of the season. It's absurd." And we'll see what happens. And hey, soccer's growing in this country. It's something I have to talk about. I'm a fan of it. I enjoy the game. I think when you actually watch the games and get immersed in the drama of the seasonal drama, you'll really like it. It's not anything different from like the NFL or the NBA. It's just you got to get into it a little bit more. But when you hear the coaches and the players, and when they talk trash about each other, when they do things a little bit different, it's actually very interesting to see. I think the EPL has done amazing work in America. with the drama, the way the games are covered, and that's why it has the fan base it does now, and it's growing. And it's growing. So anyway, I want to kind of talk about ESPN for a little bit. ESPN is in some trouble right now. ESPN, I think sports media is in trouble right now. So ESPN has the show Get Up with Mike Greenberg, my guy Jalen Rose, Michelle Beal. They're struggling to get ratings right now. And they actually took out Michelle Beal, and they're going to try to do rotating guest host. I can't say I didn't see this coming. I didn't think Mike Greenberg and Michelle Beal and Jalen Rose was ever the perfect fit. I think Michelle Beal and Jalen Rose, they have a lot of chemistry because they do the NBA countdown. Unfortunately, Mike Greenberg sticks out like a sore thumb. It's kind of like two cool moms. No, I'm sorry. It's kind of like two cool parents hanging out with a parent that tries too hard to be cool, and it's just really awkward and weird. But I think the major issue at ESPN is that they're too political. While maybe I kind of like some of the views I hear because, I mean, they are more maybe liberal views. I do understand from the conservative side, it's fucking annoying. All you want to do is just watch some goddamn sports. Back in the day in the 90s, ESPN was just known for SportsCenter all the time on repeat, just covering sports. And then I think recently they try to almost be like the new CNN, Fox News, MSNBC with their analysis and opinions. And I like that. Personally, I like that. I like to hear about the stuff beyond the field. That's my thing. But I do know that there's some people who just want to hear about the on the field stuff. That's just what they want to hear. That's what they want to know about. So I think ESPN, what they should do is I think they should put the regular ESPN as just back to the Sports Center, and then ESPN2 is just known as the opinion channel. That's when you see the First Take, the High Noon. I don't know. I mean, that show is weird to me. I don't know. PTI, you're Around the Horn, you're Jalen Jacoby. Make ESPN2 where you hear the shows that the podcast shows, the announcer shows, all that stuff. ESPN should just be strictly covering the game of sports, and that's it. The highlights, the players, the behind-the-scenes stuff, maybe do documentaries about behind-the-scenes. Just keep it about the sports, and that I think it will gain more viewership. That way, people can decipher between the two. So if people want to hear First Take, they go to ESPN2, listen to First Take, get all their opinions and all that stuff. But if someone just wants to hear about the latest highlights from a game or what a player said, boom, you get it right there. Because I think ESPN is in trouble. I think there's a growing contingency of people who are just not rocking with ESPN. I think Fox Sports 1 tries to be too radical. I do love the show Undisputed. I do mess with Colin Cowherd to a degree. But Fox Sports 1 is known as the Hot Take channel. So I'm really surprised there's no other channel who's just kind of stepped in. No other network that stepped in. It's like, we're just purely sports. We're not doing opinions. If we do opinions, it may be post-game analysis or pre-game analysis, but that's about it. I'm surprised no other network is taking advantage of that, because I think ESPN are trying to be too much like CNN, and it's not a political news network. I love Stephen A. Smith. That's my guy. I think he represents a lot. I think he tries to show America a lot of opinions, especially on the black community, which obviously I'm concerned with, being a black guy and all that stuff. But I can see how he turns people off. I can definitely see that. And I can also see how sometimes if people just want to hear about the Giants and Odell Beckham Jr., they don't want to hear about a story about race. They just want to see what's going on with the contract. Is the guy going to be signed or not? Some people just want sports. It's pretty black. It's pretty just black or white for them. They just want to know the facts and then move on with their lives. Just like your morning news station, where they just kind of give you the traffic, the weather, the local stories, and that's it. No analysis. Some people just want that with the sports. So I don't blame them on that aspect. Get up. Mike Greenberg left Mike and Mike to go to New York and do that show. I'll be interested to see what happens with him, man. I don't know. ESPN's kind of been on the downturn a little bit. PTI I thought was very good because they didn't get into the hokey stuff. They kind of just talked about sports, gave their stuff, and that was it. I wish ESPN would kind of go a little bit to that and just do Sports Center. I think they'd be good in that aspect. And the last thing I want to talk about is the wrestling WWE. It's been a long show so far. I thank you guys for listening and tuning in. A lot of topics to cover. So WWE, they got this big pay-per-view in Australia, which I commend WWE for getting the bag, getting the money. They're growing right now, getting a lot of money. So they have this match between Undertaker and Triple H, and they're hyping it up as the last match ever. The last match between these two greats. And for me, I'm a little pissed off about that. Because, not that I want to see The Undertaker or Triple H wrestle, it's just that they advertise this same thing at WrestleMania 28 as the last match, end of the era. So if you bought tickets to that fucking matchup in 2016, I believe. Hold on, when did that WrestleMania happen? When did that WrestleMania happen? Bear with me real quick. 2012. If you bought tickets to that WrestleMania, you are now like, what the fuck? I came to see that matchup. I spent a lot of money going there, and now they're doing this nonsense again in Australia. That's WWE for you, and they try to hype it. To me, I don't care. I don't care as much about this just because I think the WWE just needs to they I don't know. I don't care about this matchup, and I think that they're robbing the fans by doing this. I just feel if you're gonna advertise matches beforehand, you shouldn't do it later on. So that's why I have the beef I have with that matchup. The All-In pay-per-view is going to happen in Chicago this weekend. I think it's going to be great for the wrestling industry to get the independent scene buzzing again. I think it'll be really cool. So I hope people go out and support that. I think it's good, not only for WWE, but for the independent scene, New Japan, wrestling to get back on the come up again, to get more popular. Like it wasn't. I don't think it'll ever get to how it was in the 90s, but I do feel that it could be recognizable, that people cannot be embarrassed to be wrestling fans, because sometimes you gotta kind of keep that to yourself. WWE is a growing company. They're making tons of money. It's very marketable. A lot of big name stars go and watch it all the time. And it's a lot more family friendly than it used to be. Sometimes I have an issue with that. But I think, the WWE's on the great uptick in terms of making money. The storylines, that one, I'll be interested to see what happens with that. I think that the storyline that they have with Becky Lynch is great, and they are also advertising for the first ever women's all women's pay-per-view in October called Evolution. I'm excited to see that because I think the women should have had this done a long time ago, and they have a lot of amazing talent in WWE. WWE has a lot of great talent right now. It's just that the storyline writing is just terrible. And I know it's supposed to be family friendly, but they can still make the writing good enough. In this day and age where you have crime and sex and drama on TV. I mean, there's some shows where they don't really have much of that, and they still make good TV, good storylines. So I don't know why the WWE does not want to do that. It's weird. A few weeks ago I went to NXT Takeover, and it was amazing in Brooklyn. That place was rocking, and because the storylines really galvanized the fans, we were really into it. We loved it. And for some reason, it doesn't translate when you go to see a Raw or SmackDown or anything like that. So I don't know what's going on with the main product. But, they got to stop advertising stuff like Triple H and Undertaker. I know they're two pioneers in the industry. But as a fan, I don't really care. I know for the casuals, they'll get to see it. But you're really seeing 240-plus men just wrestle in a match again. It's not going to be that entertaining. That he has a lot of young talent and a lot of athleticism going on lately. I know people knock on wrestlers for saying that, they're not real athletes. But they do some crazy shit, and they have to train. They go through injuries just like athletes, and they're on the road more. People don't understand. Wrestlers are on the road 300 plus days a year, which is more than any other athlete. So they're doing their craft a lot more, hitting the mat, the wooden pavement on the underneath the mat and stuff. So there's a lot that they have to do. So anyway, this is getting close to an hour. I covered a lot of topics. I just want to get out the way. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna leave the description down below on certain topics. So there's a lot of topics. If you're not a soccer fan, you can scroll through it. I'm going to kind of leave timestamps on what topics I covered so that you can scroll to it, and tell your friends what, let them listen to the episodes. Let me get their opinions on it. If you really like the episode, mention it to your friends, man. Let's grow this podcast together. Anyway, you guys can hit me up. DexPC5. That's D as in dangerous, E as in excitement, X as in xylophone, P as in Paul, C as in Charlie, 5. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, and on Instagram, you can also follow the show's Instagram page at Just My Take Podcast. This week, do me a favor. When you like the podcast, leave a little message. Hey, I heard your latest episode. I want to hear and see where people are listening to the episode from. I want to thank you. I want to personally thank people for taking the time to listen to the episode, because I know there's many options you guys have out there. You can listen to so many things, and the fact that you take the time to listen to my episodes, I really appreciate it. So again, this is another episode of the Just My Take podcast. This is DexPC5, aka Dexter K. And remember, we talked about a lot of topics today. Whether you agree or disagree, it's just my take. Peace.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.